The first thing people noticed about her was the pause, how she always hesitated before speaking, as if rehearsing the courage it took to ask the world for space. So when the one-legged girl stood in the crowded hospital cafeteria clutching a plastic tray and quietly asked, "Can I sit here?" it barely rose above the hum of conversations, the clatter of forks, the weight of unspoken exhaustion that hung in the air. The single dad looked up from his coffee, startled not by her voice but by her eyes, wide, hopeful, already bracing for disappointment. And for a moment he saw not a stranger but the echo of every fear he'd carried since his wife died 2 years earlier, leaving him to raise a 6-year-old son alone while navigating hospital hallways that smelled like antiseptic and grief. He nodded without thinking. "Of course," he said, pulling out the chair. "I was hoping someone would." The girl sat carefully, maneuvering her prosthetic with practiced grace, cheeks flushing as if she'd just been granted a small miracle. Her name was Lily, she said, 12 years old, born with one leg and a lifetime of people assuming what she couldn't do. She'd learned early to read rooms, to measure the kindness in faces before risking her heart. Today, she explained, was her 3rd physical therapy session of the week, and she hated the cafeteria because it reminded her of all the places she didn't quite belong. Schools where kids stared, playgrounds where she felt like an exhibit, tables where there never seemed to be enough room for her difference. The dad listened, really listened, the way you do when you've been quiet for too long. He told her his name was Mark, that his son Ethan was upstairs recovering from a surgery that would help him breathe easier at night, that hospitals had become a second home he never asked for. They shared fries. They laughed softly when Lily admitted she named her prosthetic Rocket because it made her feel faster than everyone else. Then came the unexpected turn, the moment that would etch itself into both their lives, when Lily asked, almost as an afterthought, "Do you ever feel like people see what's missing before they see what's there?" Mark felt the question land somewhere deep and tender. He thought of his wife's empty side of the bed, of the way people spoke to him with pity, as if being a single dad made him incomplete. He took a breath, steady and sure. "I don't think anything's missing," he said gently. "I think some people just don't know how to look properly." Lily blinked. Tears welled before she could stop them, spilling down her cheeks not from sadness but from relief, the kind that comes when someone finally names a truth you've been carrying alone. She tried to apologize, embarrassed, but Mark shook his head. "Hey," he said, voice firm with kindness, "tears aren't a problem here. They mean something mattered." He told her how Ethan used to ask why his mom wasn't like other moms anymore, why heaven had better fee than their house, and how kids like Lily had a way of asking the bravest questions without armor. Lily laughed through her tears, and in that moment the cafeteria felt different, lighter, warmer, as if compassion had quietly changed the temperature of the room. When it was time for her session, Lily stood, hesitating again. "Thank you," she said, "for letting me sit here." Mark stood too, surprised by the ache in his chest. "Any time," he replied. "This table's yours." As she walked away, steadier than when she'd arrived, Mark realized something profound, that kindness doesn't always arrive with grand gestures or perfect timing, but with a simple yes offered when it's easiest to say no. Later that evening, Ethan asked how his day was, and Mark told him about a brave girl named Lily who taught him that strength isn't about what you lose but how you let others see you. Weeks passed. Life continued in its uneven rhythm. Then one afternoon, Mark received a note slipped under his car's windshield wiper, written in careful handwriting, "I sat at a new table today. I didn't ask if I could. I just sat. Thank you for showing me how." He smiled, heart full, understanding that a single moment of humanity had rippled outward, changing not just one day but a way of being. And somewhere in that vast, often unkind world, a one-legged girl walked a little taller and a single dad carried a little less weight, both reminded that when we make room for each other, we discover there's more than enough space to belong.